Connecting. Okay, welcome to another episode of Fearless. I'm your host, Crystal Stanton, and today we are joined by another powerhouse woman in the online business world. So our guest today has been building multiple streams of income online for around 2 years now. She's passionate about helping other mums build their own empires online around toddler meltdowns and motherhood, which I'm so here for. So I'm so excited for you all to hear her unique take on those challenges of modern motherhood and earning income online around our kids. So please welcome Tamara McMahon.
Thank
Welcome.
you so much, Crystal. It's so lovely to be here and just shining a light on this topic because it is definitely an issue that we're seeing in the 21st century, let's call it.
Yeah.
And the opportunities that are available to us as women, as mothers, is phenomenal.
Mm. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely it is. I don't think there's ever been a more abundant time, a time of more potential for women and mothers than there has been right now because of the online space. But I think also on the flip side of that, I don't think there's ever been a time where mothers have been criticized more than ever as well. And you know, that feeling of you're never doing it right. If you are, you know, home with your kids all the time, you should be doing more than that. If you're building a business or you're working, then you should be home with your kids. So I think it's really good for, you know, women like us who are stepping up into the online space, empowering women, helping them create financial independence, to talk about the realities of what modern motherhood looks like and how it works.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more because with technology, um, comes information and information overload and connection, but connection can also be bad, right? So we're hearing more about people's opinions of motherhood and how we should do it. So we are taking on a lot more information in that regards and judging ourselves and judging other people's lives where we never used to have that. But we also have this amazing tool that can allow us to create this amazing income and empire online. So I think it's definitely a balance. And I love how optimistic you are. And it really comes down to what road you take, right? Is it the information overload, or is it like, let's utilize this amazing tool we have?
Yes, I love that, because comparisonitis is so difficult to combat, right? Because we all of us have our own inner critic already, and then we're comparing ourselves to other people, and our inner critic takes that information, and it can be really hard to like to let go of that self-doubt and actually step forward and move through. And yeah, I just really love what you were saying, you know, around that, you know, comparing yourself online, and also just like around the possibilities and the potential. So yeah, I really resonate with that as well. There was another thought there I had coming through. Where did it go? It disappeared on me. No, it's gone. It'll come back later.
I
There was
love
something else.
that.
Oh yes, absolutely. But I did see one of your posts. It was a little while ago now, but I absolutely loved it. And I saw yeah, I'd love to dive into it and just go a little bit deeper into that topic. So I saw you write on in the post the other day, you said, my primary goal was and always will be to earn an income around my kids. I turned to the online space because modern motherhood is hard. We are juggling so many plates and expectations previous generations never had to navigate. This is my way to be the mother I crave to be while building myself into the person I dreamed of. And I read that, and I don't know about anyone else who is listening, but I could have written that myself. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely resonates so deeply. So I'd love to just dive in. Like, what is it about modern motherhood that makes it so challenging? And I think you've sort of touched on this already in what you were just saying before.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. When we look at motherhood, I have my grandmother who never really worked, or she worked within school hours and things like that. And then I have my mother who worked for herself. They had their own business in catering for quite some time. And I love that entrepreneurial side of them. However, there was a big expectation for my mum to do it all, right? The cooking, the cleaning. She was never a mother that baked. She never had time for that.
Yeah.
So I think going into my own motherhood journey, I had a lot of expectations of what I wanted to be. I was a vet nurse prior to jumping in the online space, and the person who was a vet nurse is very different to the person I am now. So that kind of ties into what you were saying before, Crystal, about my post. Like, I wanted to be this person, this mother that I envisioned, but I couldn't do both, right? I couldn't be a vet nurse. My vet nurse career, that life, looked at me being at the top of my career, working in emergency and critical care, okay? And that involves shift work, like a lot of human nurses. So if I wanted to be that person at the top of my career, do all the cool things like blood transfusions and managing critical patients, that would involve me having to do shift work. And that didn't sort of align with the mother I wanted to be, okay? And I had my parents do their own business, work overtime. With a catering company that they used to run, it was a lot of nighttime events, okay? So that was really kind of ingrained into me as a little child, that working those sort of hours aren't good for your family. And I wanted to be there for my kids. I didn't want mum to have to get friends to pick me up from school and things like that. So I found it really hard to balance the two straight off the bat. And I buried a lot of emotions. When I had my first child, I put her into daycare at 5 months old. I tried not to think about it too much, because the more I thought about it, the worse I felt, because I wasn't aligned. And I think it's really easy to get into the trick that, oh, it's just the way it is, without questioning the way it is. And it wasn't until my second child that I found the online space, and I found that there's women winning in the online space.
Yes, right?
And
winning, like
I wanted a
winning.
slice of that pie. I wanted a slice of that pie, right? So that's when it took 2 children for me to wake up to the realization that what was sold early on, that it doesn't have to be like that. So when you mentioned the journey of self, I think it really does, it woke me up to so much about what's happening around this world. And we don't have to be the sheep that follow. We have a tool now. I don't care what business you're in. I love the industry. Crystal and I are in different businesses. Doesn't matter what business you're in, it's just the industry itself. So I had a lot of learning and unlearning to do, and it all centered around myself. So does that kind of touch on a little bit? I feel like
I'm just sitting here, so I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm interviewing myself right now. Except instead of a vet nurse, I was a education leader in a high school, so I was a head of department. And the exact same journey. I was at the top of my game. I became a school leader in the first 4 years of my teaching career. So, way up there, decision making in the rooms with all the people that make the big decisions. And I love that. And I really value education. I have a lot of issues with the education system, but I value education as a tool for people, because implemented knowledge is power. Anyway, put that pin in that one, keep going. And when I had Evie, my first daughter, and went back, I was just like, how do people do this? How can I be fully invested in my role here and fully invested in my role at home to be the kind of mother I want to be? And it was definitely a little bit about what I perceived that needed to look like, but it was more about just how I wanted to show up as a mother. And I had a wild ride of realizing I had a whole lot of inner child wounds and, stuff going on that having a child will definitely draw out of you. So, but at that time I had no idea what was happening. I was just like angry and cranky, and, I would be very reactive. And I thought going back to work would give me that sense of purpose, but it just made it so much worse and so much harder, because I felt like you. I love the word out of alignment, Tamara. I love the way that you said that, because I do have my online business, but a lot of the work I do in the coaching space is around that aligning back to your values, because for so many of us, we just go on this wild ride of life with, following that GPS, not questioning it, doing all the things we're supposed to do in the way we're told we're supposed to do it. And then we wake up one day and we're like, I don't even know what my life is. I don't know why I'm here. I don't feel good about this. I'm not the person I thought I would be. I've let all my dreams sort of just sit in a pile over here and forget about them. So I love that, you were able to recognize that and take the steps to realign your life, and that online business was a vehicle from, like, similar to myself, that was the starting point for you.
And I think it was also the vehicle to do the work.
Yes.
We
Yes.
don't talk about this enough. After school, you finish school and you work on your career. You never work on yourself. And that's definitely one thing I would wish would be added to the education system.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
personal development. And you're under no obligation to be who you were yesterday,
Yes.
or that person you were before motherhood. And I think we're all craving to get our body back, get who we were before back, but we're never going to get that sort of version of ourselves back. And going back to work, like you said, is never actually going to make you feel whole. What's going to make you feel whole is learning about yourself, discovering who you are now, and sorting all that inner child stuff out,
Yeah.
triggers and things like that. And that's not only going to benefit who you are as a person, it's going to benefit who you are as a mother, as a partner, and break those generational cycles.
Yes.
The work I've fallen in love with is actually not my online business. It's a work for myself. Because I've found, and probably as you found too, it's not the success, right? So say you've got your goal, and you are here right now. It's not the steps of your business. It's who you need to become.
Yes.
That is the real work. Okay. So I've fallen in love with that process, and success is a natural byproduct. And then to be able to build a business around that's the real gold, right there. So
yeah, amazing. I love that, because we have such a goal-oriented society, right? We're supposed to set goals and go out and go after those goals. But you're right, achieving the goal isn't where the success is. It's in living that values-driven life. It's the journey towards it, because like biologically, neurologically, as soon as we achieve that goal, we feel empty, because we need to go to the next goal. Our brain automatically does that. So if you're only ever chasing goals, you're never going to feel fulfilled. You're never going to feel like you've made it, you finally got there. There's always going to be something else that you're reaching for. And like you said, it's the journey of who you are becoming. That's where you get the fulfillment from, and the sense of like accomplishment and being whole. So I love that. So
goals should be the byproduct.
Yes, exactly. It's
like,
the reward
you
for
should
doing the
hit them.
work. Yes.
But they should be the byproduct of you on your journey. So
yeah. And if you're doing that work on yourself, you almost don't need to worry about anything else, because everything else will just come to you. Like, that's the law of the universe, right? If you are
manifestation.
Exactly. If you have a clear intention, elevated emotion, it will happen. It's just the facts of the universe. So, and you're right, it needs to be in education. I know it is. Do I want to be tactful here? Not really. I know that mindfulness and well-being is a key topic in education at the moment. It's like one of those hot button topics, but I don't think anyone in those seats necessarily knows the work themselves, if you know what I mean. If I think about the school I was in, our journey around implementing well-being in the school, staff and student well-being, none of us really knew anything about it ourselves. So we were just like making stuff up. And yes, we had some gratitude going on. We do little things like that, and mindfulness in our student diaries and that sort of stuff. But back then I was like, oh, this is just a waste of time. It was like, because back then I didn't understand it. And so I was like, "Oh, this is individual responsibility. I don't have time to teach this. Like, it's my staff need to look after themselves. Why do I have to do it's another thing, that was the language I was using because I didn't believe in personal development, because I didn't understand it. And it was my online business that became the vehicle for me to do the work. And now I'm like, oh, I get it. It's like the only thing we should be focusing on, like the only thing. It's so, so important.
And I think what's the goal is what I would be asking in schools.
Mm.
The people, so like the book list needs an overhaul. The book's like grit. That's what's really going to help people be successful in life in general, full stop, right?
Yes.
And I don't know if there's any personal development books in schools as an option. They're all English literature, they're all these old ones, which I get. There's definitely a place for knowledge and English and everything like that. But we need to also look at what are we trying to teach? We're just trying to help people be well-rounded. And I love how you say they're buzzwords, because I think they are buzzwords.
Yeah.
And they're always a band-aid. And you see this in corporate all the time. They're like, we care about your wellness. Follow the HALT principle. Have you heard of that?
I think so.
Are you hungry? Are you angry?
Oh, no, I haven't heard of that.
And then you need
Okay.
to take time out.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I am always hungry at work.
Yeah.
I am always tired. I am
Yeah.
like, so just having a poster on the wall is not actually fixing the solution.
Yes.
Buying a new coffee machine for the staff room is not fixing the solution.
Yes. Yeah.
The solution is wellness, but how do we incorporate that into life that's actually meaningful and not just ticking a box?
Yes.
And the whole self-development journey, it is a bit of a cop-out in a way, because you have to be ready to go on that. And some people aren't ready when they're 15 to go on that journey, but they need to know where to go, where to get the tools. And I think that's where you need to be focusing on education, is like, okay, so when you are ready, this is what you need to do. This is where you need to get help. This is what it will look like. Like, I wish someone told me when I jumped into business that it was going to be hard. I was going to have breakdowns.
Yeah.
I was going to like want to quit every day. And that's actually how you know you're doing it right.
Yes. Yeah.
And
you would have to lead yourself, because no one's coming to lead you. No one's coming to save you, hold your hand. You may have mentors, you may have a training platform, you may have a coach, but yeah, you have to do the work. Yeah.
Self-responsibility. So with my first business, both my uplines ended up not continuing. There was divorce. There was people who decided the business wasn't right for them. So I was definitely orphaned. And at that point, I had to make a decision, like, where do I go? What do I do? Do I go back to work? Do I continue this by myself? And that was really pivotal in my online journey. I decided to follow a few of the leaders that weren't in my business, but I'm like, well, they've got it sorted. So what am I missing? And I ended up finding business coaches in the network marketing space.
Yep.
And that helped me grow, because coming from vet nursing, I had a lot of skills. I wasn't in sales. I thought money was something that came between a lot of people. I think a lot of people on this podcast will know, you take your animal to the vet, it's always expensive. So I have done a lot of work around my money stories, energetics and things like that, and sales, right?
Yes.
I was a kid who in high school could never talk. I failed my year 12 oral presentation. I was asked kindly by the teacher to sit back down because I was frozen in fear.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm talking on this podcast. So a lot of growth has happened for me, and it's been a little bit longer, I'm not going to lie, than a lot of other people, but that's my skill set and my background. And accepting the journey, it took me a year to get help, right? It took me a year to ask for business coaching and invest into myself in that area and get the knowledge, because you can't just waltz into the online space, expect to get paid when you don't know the skills. So that would be like my hot tip, is just know that investing in yourself, whether it be like personal development, business coaching, anything like that, that is where the magic lies. Okay. And you are your best return on investment. So with vet nursing, I paid for lots of courses, and funnily enough, I'm not using it now because that skill set was purely based on a career that I choose no longer to be a part of. And yeah, so everything that I'm investing in now and saying yes to is going to be a lifelong journey.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so glad you said you are your greatest return on investment, because not enough people understand that. And you are completely right about the fact that people will walk into the online space and think that it's easy and you're just going to get paid on repeat and you don't really have to do anything at all. You don't really have to learn new skills, because let's be honest, a lot of the way people market their online business, they do use that language. They do talk about
I was sold it.
easy, no skills required, no previous experience needed, just off your phone. Like they do. And they talk about 6 and 7 figures and, you know, all of these income claims. And while that income is definitely a potential and more in the online space, the people up there are doing exactly what you just said. They're investing in themselves and their growth and their skill set. And yeah, I cannot stress enough for everyone, all of the listeners listening, and it doesn't even need to be an online business, just in your development in general. If you want to change your life from where you are right now, investing in yourself is the best way to do that, to get where you want to be. And that can be through time investment by doing your own reading and research. But I really think the power of having someone like a coach to give you that extra accountability can really just shift you, because you know, my background is in education. So I see people diving into platforms because a lot of these incredible online businesses have created these platforms full of training from the last 7 years worth of their leaders' knowledge and skill set. And while that is freaking awesome, if you don't actually know how to watch that video and implement it, there's always going to be a gap and you're never going to be able to bridge that gap. And that's where, if you don't, like you were saying, you had your original mentors leave the business. If you don't have a quality mentor or coach between that knowledge and you implementing it, that's when you're going to feel like your business is failing and you're not going to do it and you're going to want to quit, because you have to be led. It's called gradual release of responsibility in education. You have to be shown, and then you have to have someone do it with you. And then you gradually release that responsibility until you can do it yourself. So I love that. Thank you so much for saying that.
I love about coaches as well, which no one really talks about, is uplines and coaches are very separate. Okay. And it's only recently I have noticed this. Your upline has an invested interest in you performing. Your coach has an invested interest in you.
Can you say that again, please? Say that again. That was amazing.
Your upline has an invested interest in you performing, and your coach has an invested interest in you. So one thing I really like to help my team with is their individual goals. Like, yes, I would love them all to hit certain ranks, but at the end of the day, I care about them as a person. Yes. And that might not align with what I want from them. And I think as a leader, that has been a massive shift. And I wish my uplines have noticed that too. What I want is very separate to what they might want. And that's okay. Like, this entrepreneurial journey, like, this business is yours. But you're never alone, okay? And sometimes we can get into the cycle of having to do what your upline's done. So that's 7 years of training you mentioned before, Crystal, might be how they've done it.
Yeah.
It might not be how you want to do your business. Yes. I don't want to run in-person events. I don't want to go to the markets on a Sunday. I want to spend them with my kids, okay? Although my uplines, that's how they run their business, is not how I choose to run mine. And I think there's a million ways to skin a fish. Skin a cat, something, what's the saying?
Yeah. Skin a cat, same thing, right?
Yeah. So like, I think, we get caught up with our corporate training. This is another great example. Corporate expects you to do it one way. You don't have to do it one way. You can do it your own way. You can still have success. So if you're out there and you're not aligning with your training or the way your upline is instructing you, just get creative, connect with people who are winning, that are doing things the way you like to do things. And it's okay to change. Like, I was speaking with my coaching client before this about boundaries with her upline, because their visions don't exactly align, and they're both beautiful people. But you don't need to take on everything your upline says.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. That's so, you just dropped so much value in the last 2 minutes. I think, so many people, we need to talk about that more as well. I love that distinction between what a coach is focused on and what your upline is focused on. So everybody goes back and listen to all of that again.
And that's why I have a business coach, right? And it's not you. And that's why with my business, I am trying to incorporate everything I learn in leadership into my business, so I can build a rock solid network marketing business. Okay. It's not about me branching out into the coaching space. Everything I'm learning is purely to help my business grow. And I think that's the foundation that we're all looking for, right? I hate high turnover. I really hate how we're in this business of burning and churning people. And I don't know if it's because we sell them the vision is going to be easy, because it's really hard to say, hey, this journey you're going to go on is going to rock your world. It's going to change. It's really hard to sell that. Or it's because we don't have enough leaders that are learning how to lead, because we are definitely in the employer mindset versus entrepreneurial mindset. I'm sure you'll go into this in another podcast. But being a leader, focusing on the people is really hard, and taking your own investment out. So the people who come into my world, my focus is, cool, how can I keep them in this industry? How can I honor their journey? How can I support them get what they want? It might just be $100 a month. It might be earning the rewards trips. So my business is all around authenticity. I share all of this. When I help people, I don't hold back, because that's not how I would like to be sold to. I was sold on the automation, like you mentioned before. That's going to be easy. You just plug people into a platform and it does the sales for you. And it's not really the case. And that's not how I choose to run my business.
And I think if you focus on your business instead of a product-based business or a team building business, if you focus on it as a people building business, you're going to win. Because as people grow, it's just like we were saying before, naturally everything else is going to take care of itself. So I just love that you have that heart-centered, people-focused approach to your business. More people in this space need to be doing that. Absolutely.
And if you focus on your network, like they will follow you everywhere. Like the saying, like your network is your net worth. It is very true in that sense. Like once you create that connection, that's a lifelong relationship. So you don't want to be ruining that by fucking on the first date and things like that. It's a slow relationship built on trust. And then it doesn't matter where you go in your future, like you can change businesses. 90% of the time people will follow you and value who you are.
We could talk for so long, but I'm going to I might have to get you back on another time. We'll see. I don't know.
Maybe I won't be sick next time.
Yes. And once I share it, we have some questions from viewers as well. Be amazing. I do have 2 last questions, and then I would love for you to let everyone know where they can find you as well. But my last 2 questions, have I lied? No, I do only have 2 questions. Okay. So my first question: what would you say to the incredible woman listening who knows deep down she desires more for herself, but doesn't know how to take that first step?
Just fucking do it, mate. It's 100% just do it. You're never going to feel ready. I would say put on your big girl panties, 20 seconds of courage, message somebody that you've been following, message Chris or myself. There is normally somebody that comes to mind. Message that person. All it takes is one message to get the conversation started. yeah, and just know that you are meant for more. Like those desires don't get put in you for nothing, right? So yeah, just do it. Just one act of courage.
Just do it. Just do it now. Stop listening. Go and do
Yeah.
it. Amazing.
Stop everything
Amazing.
here.
And I think too, there's this like one of the sort of light leaders I follow in the online space, she talks about like the dream killer period, where you have the download and the desire comes into you, and the gap between you taking action, the wider that gets, the harder it gets, and the less likely it's going to happen, right? So I love that. Just do it. Yeah. Amazing. Okay. So my last question, and this is a question that I ask everybody that comes onto the podcast because it is the theme of the whole podcast. So I would love to know, what does the word fearless mean to you?
Ooh, fearless. This is interesting because you've given me no prep time. Off the cuff.
It's authentic, right?
I don't know if I believe in it. Like fearless means that, like there is no fear. Maybe the direction I'm going to take this is fearless isn't actually the presence of no fear. It's the presence of fear and choosing to do it anyway. How about that?
Yeah, that's perfect. It's perfect because it's literally the same answer I get every single time.
Is it? Yeah.
Because it's the truth. You cannot live without fear. What we have to do is learn how to hold hands with our fear and take that step forward anyway. So perfect.
Like there is no true fearless. There's no sense of fear. It's just doing it anyway.
Yeah. You can fear less than you do right now, but you will never be without fear, especially when we're talking about playing big, right? Playing in this space, claiming it, calling in a wildly abundant dream life.
Yeah.
You're always going to have fear. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Perfect. Thank you so much. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so you can just jump on my Facebook, Tamara McMahon. I have a link tree in there that will show you where to go based on what you want, or just jump in my DMs. I love having conversations with people. I love getting to know people. That's the basis of my business. So yeah, I look forward to chatting.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. And until next time, I love you. I believe in you. Be amazing.
Thank you.
Stop recording.